Well, hello everyone. Hello to you all. It is I, Whimsy. Welcome. Good to see you here on this marvelous Thursday. Hopefully, you are all taking good care of yourselves. It's been a heck of a week, hasn't it? We've had some very interesting experiences when it comes to who we've been talking to. I love my job. I've always told you folks I love my job, but I you never know who's going to show up, right? You never know. Well, anyway, I'm glad that you all showed up. Welcome to Hot Topics Thursdays, where we all get together and we share the tea. Or if you're like me, you prefer coffee, right? I keep getting beautiful gifts from from people. I received this beautiful hummingbird bag a while ago, and I really like it. And I haven't decided what to do with it yet, but I think I'm going to do something with it. Anyway, thank you. Lovely. I like the hummingbird bag. Thank you so much. I also receive a ton of scarves and things, man. I just love them. Thank you to Colleen and to Marianne and everyone else who's been sending lovely gifts. Patricia, thank you so much. Well, hopefully, all of my microphone problems have been taken care of. If you are in the Portland area and you are needing help with your live streaming, I would recommend Graham. Yes, Graham is the person who took care of the microphone problem. So we now have what they call a stereo sound. Yeah, stereo sound. Hi, Donald Lampert. Great to see you. K Travel Tarot. Good to see you. Everybody liking the new sound equipment? I hope so. Copper Broom, welcome. Cicero, hello. Joel Tilson, who is our official floor director. Nothing, and I mean nothing gets past him. He will see it, so be kind to all, or he'll boot you. Joel is saying that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant inside Ukraine has been bombed again by Russian drones. Yikes. It goes back, I think, to what Putin had said to us a couple of years ago about threatening nuclear war, right? If his nuclear weapons are not doing that well, if they, supposedly many of them are not operational, he could create a nuclear bomb by creating a dirty bomb, and that is to just bomb Zaporizhzhia or load weapons. Some people think that it's been booby trapped. So if Ukraine attempts to go in and get Russia out of Zaporizhzhia, the thing will blow up, making it a dirty bomb. Now, the problem with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, by the way, great to see everyone, is that it's the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. And so if it blows, it could theoretically scatter nuclear waste predominantly to Southeast Asia, parts of Eastern Europe, I think, but some of Western Europe. It will rotate around the nuclear waste, and it gets caught in the air, and then it circulates the earth, and so the entire north could receive this nuclear waste, which could precipitate. It could cause more global warming. It would be quite catastrophic. I did a remote on that, and I followed it. And the first sweep, I went into the east. I went into parts of the north. I started melting glaciers. Eventually, it makes its way around the entire Earth. So it's not good news. We can check on that, but it's another reason why the current leadership in Russia is unstable. The other thing I wanted to mention about that has to do with Mike Johnson. If you recall from previous remotes that we've done, Mike Johnson is going to turn and he's going to peel off the top something like 9 GOP members who maybe are not going to be running next this in 2024. So consequently, they've got nothing to lose and they can basically revolt with Mike Johnson because they can see the writing on the wall. Is anybody surprised that that's starting to happen? Let's talk about it. It's pretty. If he abandons the GOP, right, because you've got the right wingers being headed by Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that if he doesn't do what they want, they're going to come after him and they're going to make his life hell and blah, 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 blah. Whereas there are enough people that are able to vote who are Democrats and Republicans together to pass a lot of bills. So the other thing that is that many Republicans are telling Mike Johnson that the House needs to come together and repeal the previous vote that says you can remove somebody with one vote. So does this look a lot like the cannibalism we had seen would inevitably happen that should have happened a long time ago? I think so. I think so. Mm-hmm. Hi, Stephanie Stevens. Good to see you here. Stephanie Stevens and many people had questions about how to take remote viewing with me. If you are signed as the Elders Empass level, you don't have, it's $9.99 a month. You don't have to pay me anything else. And then membership videos are in the membership section, but you should be able to get access just go and click on the video and then it will open. I'm usually within 2 minutes or so, I'm usually live in class. Class runs from 6 to 7:15. I just took a poll. Some people like to have it on Fridays. Some people like to have HCRV class on Wednesdays. I don't care. I have no life. But you guys voted Wednesday. So based on the vote, class is Wednesday at 6 p.m. If that doesn't work for you, we can maybe try another day. But right now we're meeting consistently for members at the Elders Empass level for 1 hour, 15 minutes. And we lecture on the phenomenon of the human energy field. And then we put you into trance state and you'll be sent to locate 2 targets. Class is a 10-week course with certification in HCRV. And then after that, we will be going into our mystical tarot lecture series. I believe it's something like 6 to 8 weeks. We do that for those people who would like to learn how to do remote viewing and tarot card reading symbolism together. We are taking a couple of weeks off. I believe you guys wanted to have, I'll let students decide when you guys want to have your summer break, but I think most people said sometime around mid to late June, which works out because then we'll be finishing up heart-centered remote viewing by then. And that'll give you a couple weeks to go do what you got to do. And then we can come back sometime late July and start up again with remote viewing. So that's the schedule. Hopefully the economy will be in better shape by then. Okay, I also want to announce that we have a Book of the Month Club. I was reading the book. Let me go get the book. I was reading it, yes, and it's... Oops. Okay, so for those people who don't know, we have a Book of the Month Club that we started to promote independent writers. And if you are an independent, like to hear on the show, Tuesdays at the end of the month on Taco Tuesdays at 6 p.m. and we interview one of our community's writers who's, a regular writer person. Anyway, what we want, the types of books we're looking for are books that either have a moral compass or spirituality, ethics. Nonfiction or fiction is fine. We don't want anything negative, negative is subjective. Okay. No, Stephanie, you have to, it's available for members on YouTube. So Venmo would not allow you access because it's controlled by YouTube. Yeah. All right. So the book of the month is Spark. We written by Gail Ninehouse. It is available at Barnes and Noble and Thrift Books. It is not available on Amazon. We chose this book because it centers on how to empower yourself and ignite your personal spark. So excellent book. She'll be in our studios in a couple of weeks. Hopefully you'll all be able to join us. Hi, Karen W., Kitty Connell. Also think about becoming a member. Membership helps support and improve the channel. I just proudly put $700 into the new mic. We're using a Shure mic now. You guys paid for that. And we've got a Scarlett here and a Cloud Buster. So you will never again have to get bad sound. So remember that your support really goes a long way, and we appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer, and then when you're ready, we will blitz away. You own me for the next 45 minutes or however long. I am your empath for hire. I'm a professional empath, and so you can literally send me anywhere. Please respect everyone's questions. You may not be interested in Russia, but someone else is, right? Okay, let's do it together. By now, most of you know the empath's prayer. It belongs to no one. You're free to use it any way you like, publish it, etc. It was co-created by this community. It belongs to no one, and it is yours to enjoy. All right. It's already been published in a couple of books, too, so feel free. No one owns it. You're not going to be sued. All right. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively as a community, we say, Amen. All right, so it looks like the first questions coming in have to do with concerns about Zaporizhia. And let's take a look. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out. Thank you. Debbie Brady here, talent scout and creative director. If you are looking to start a YouTube channel and you need representation, please check out Debbie Brady, Future Shaper. Good to see you here, Debbie. Also, Debbie is the creator and developer of the Oracle of Whimsy fan pages over at Facebook. Be sure and check that out. We offer free readings once a month to anybody who wins our monthly lottery. I will put that in also. Okay, Zaporizhia. I'll tell you honestly, I'm nervous about Zaporizhia. I feel that Russia is desperate. Now Russia is saying that they're going to declare war on Israel. This doesn't surprise me because it surprises people who thought that Putin and Trump were good for Israel, right? There's a collective hypnosis going on in Israel. It's kind of like we have to snap the conservatives out of it. And that is this idea that Putin and Trump were somehow good for Israel. And they have to understand that the troop movements, that happened, that when Trump took U.S. troops out, it made Israel vulnerable to Hezbollah. Hezbollah was able to move their troops further, closer to the northern Israeli border because of what Trump had done. 70,000 Israelis evacuating, and it's only getting worse, and the missiles are getting worse. Trump made that happen. He gave Putin and Iran, their ally, what they wanted. And people were seduced. He was kind of like the Antichrist in a sense, because he seduced people with this golden calf. And that's really the meaning of a golden calf, isn't it? It's when you get enamored with the precious, whatever that precious is, whether it's the embassy moving to Jerusalem, the American embassy moving to Jerusalem, or an actual golden calf. It's an empty obsession. It's an obsession with something that's going to give you absolutely nothing. That's the spiritual meaning of a golden calf. It's when you align yourself and give yourself over to something. Sorry, that was my over to something that is empty, like drugs would be an example of that, right? Drugs would be an example of that. And so that is what has happened to Israel with Netanyahu, Bibi, and with Trump, and with this idea that somehow their logic is going to one day work for Israel in the Middle East, when the truth of the matter is it's making things increasingly terrible. And on the other side, it's making things increasingly terrible. The other side wants sanctions, which is pissing people off, or financial compensation, which would only make them stronger, both of which also won't work. So it's a very delicate situation. Right now, 10 of Cups moving in, which leads me to think this war cannot go on forever because Putin is bankrupted. The people of Russia do not want to be at war anymore. They are scared. Remember, in June, another 100 and something thousand high school students are graduating in Russia. A couple 100,000, and they're going straight into enlistment. Now, we've done remote viewings on that. There are recruitment people that show up at the high school that are already giving people physical exams. They're already registered. They've already been watching their psychology for years. They know precisely who these kids are. So they know it's not like they woke up one day and discovered that Joe is a problem and that he's a bit of a rebel. So the amount, because they've already done psychological assessments on the kid. By the time high school shows up and it's June and you're ready to report at your local military location, they already have years of information on you. So Putin believes he can win. Putin believes he can win. You have this 10 of Cups, which is where we are at, which is, I feel a sense of unity with the West. Remember, do not get seduced by anything that isn't the real story. Here's the real story. It's the West versus the East. It's the West versus the East. That's all it is. It's just trade. That's all it is. It's just trade. It's not that they care about anyone's human rights. 6 of Wands is to march into victory over the next 6 months. So in Putin's mind, he's going to win in the next 6 months. In his mind, he's holding out hope, I would assume, with that type of card chart, that he is going to find a way to get rid of Biden. So his focus is on getting rid of the president. Who's his concern? Biden. His opposition, we're going to be victorious in the next 6 months. What's happening in the next 6 months? The elections, right? So we're now into April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, right? So he thinks his hope is to get rid of this guy, his fear. Who's his fear? King of Cups, that's Biden's card. Final outcome, things are happening very quickly, and we could see an escalation by August. Most readers read this as August, including Linda. Let me take another sip of this amazing Pete's coffee while I contemplate what we're looking at here. This is my new favorite cup, Patricia. All right. So the clarification over the Blitz. Isn't this fun? Don't you just love this? The war is over. It will be stopped immediately and shockingly. Boom, it's over. It will end extremely quickly. You can see here smoother waters lay ahead for the West going forward. This is also forward, smoother waters, which could indicate them going further into Russia because it's a forward movement. Understand it's also a smoother, leaving the difficulty. The opposition, which planned the victory, is in Four of Swords. Why do you think that Four of Swords comes up? I can tell you why I think Four of Swords comes up. Sleepy Trump, right? Sleepy Trump that went nowhere because Sleepy Trump is shutting down. He's falling asleep. He's shutting down. This is too much. That, by the way, is what I do also. If I feel like I'm just too overwhelmed, I got that from my mother. All the women in my family have this. I don't know if other people have this, but we all take to bed. It's a very Victorian thing, which is, I think it started to happen in my late 30s that I would just take to bed, just be like, okay, I'm getting back into the bed, I'm just lying in the bed. I think it's just how different people express depression. But I will shut down. I need tremendous amount of quiet time under the blankets, just and I need silence, which is also common for people with CPTSD. But it's not unusual to see people when they get overwhelmed to have that kind of collapse. And I feel, as Donald Trump, as the empath, when I put energetic hands on him, I go back into that of just wanting to shut down. So Four of Swords is to be in the grave. So the opposition is in the grave within the next 6 months. Hopes and fears is incarceration. 9 of Wands now. So now we're forward 9 months into the future, and we're seeing Trump has been removed potentially. The opposition's been removed. And the other thing that I think is interesting here is that new money is being poured into rebuilding Ukraine. And I see this often by August, we see that Page of Pentacles coming in. It's not just, people have to understand. I think people don't understand how the US money system works. We don't just give people stuff. We also sell people stuff. If we give new jets to Saudi Arabia, which I think, given where Saudi Arabia is headed, I think it's interesting to see where this is going with Saudi Arabia. But many countries purchase these supplies, which means it's a revenue, it's an income from the United States. It's not like we do also make profits and make money from some of what we sell. Yes, and lobbyists work for private companies, right, that are trying to get, we talked a lot about that too, government contracts, right? So there's a lot of people riding on the rebuild. It's another way of looking at it. But to have a final outcome August and to have that large money coming in leads me to think that I want to go further into this, Joel, and I want to see if the attacks are going to escalate inside Russia. I'm 100% convinced they are, because I'll tell you something. You guys, those kids are terrified. Put yourself, that is a very powerful thing for those kids to say. That was a powerful remote. I didn't expect us when we were floating around in Russia, because we are attracted to high, intense emotion. Agreed? Those of you who work for a living as empaths. So if we feel a scream or a shout or, what the hell is that, right? We start, particularly if you're scanning the grid and then you wind up somewhere like the south of France. Oh, hell, revolution. Revolution came out the week after that, started in Marseille, right? So if you have the ability, if you're an empath, you can go in and you can start to feel like when we were in the south of France a couple of months ago, was that like last year? And I felt like people were going to attack me. I thought, what the hell is this? Right? So that's kind of how it works, right? And these kids are desperate. They're terrified. They know they're going to die, and they know their government is going to let them die. Think about how they don't have a future generation if this continues. 90% of their weapons have their army has been wiped out. Fools walking to their death. You see what I mean? So what Russian kids are saying is, we are part of the revolution. We know we are being foolish. We know we are being crazy by revolting against Russia, but you have to understand that we have no choice, because if we don't do this, we will die. Their opposition, I told you this, trying to be nice to young people. Now, why don't you want to serve in the Russian army, young man? Don't you know that we're the greatest army? The gaslighting. We cannot afford to throw this kid in jail. It's cheaper for us to seduce him because we need him on the front line. What they fear, the military. Remember, King of Swords is the Sword King. They don't want to go to war. I want to rescue them. Final outcome for them, they will flee like thieves. You see these cards? You see these cards? They're booking it. Chariot over the young people. Mass. Don't wait to graduate. By then it's too late. They're showing up at people's houses with school buses and picking up the recruits. Did y'all know about that? Opposition, offering money and more benefits. I'll tell you, they're going to take the poor kids first. They'll take the poor kids first. The military is fighting back and defending itself. Can you not read these cards? Look at this. Final outcome for the young people revolving. They will win the revolution. They will stand on the mountain and take back their country. Look at that. Yay! Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Fear of dying. People who say that Putin has 85% support and whatnot, you're not talking to young people who are facing their deaths. Yeah. Hi, Terry. Hi, Irish Colleen. Thank you so much for the tartan. I love it. It's crazy. So, I mean, basically what they're saying is that the young people are going to make so many problems that it's going to be effective. They're going to become so hysterical that it's going to actually cause a reaction in Russia. Okay, a large chip factory has shut down in China. Again, this goes back to remotes, that there would be a contraction in the Chinese economy. We've talked about that for the last couple of years, and that it would force them to shut down major contracts, and also it would prevent them from expanding their trade routes. As you know, also the United States and many Western countries have cut off their business ties with China and have begun to move their business elsewhere, like Taiwan, Japan, Singapore. Of course, China's not too happy about that. Their economic situation looks really awful. Let's take a look. The Red King, right? So this is why I love the cards, because the cards and the archetypes, the computer, it's like the great artificial intelligence in the sky. These cards, I'm telling you, it's like physics. It's a freaking computer. I'm telling you, the universe is a computer, because it doesn't know how to talk to you, this computer, but it thinks it understands your question, and it tries to bomb it up what you want. So Joel's asking about she. So the computer, the computer in the universe says she. You mean the Red King. The computer has to communicate back to you, right? The universe has to communicate back to the remote viewer. She, how shall I tell her about she? The Red King of the Red Crescent. Isn't that crazy? It just blows my mind how the universal computer talks to us. Regarding the Red King, He is isolated. Gee, oh my God. So they're saying that Xi has become increasingly isolated and that his opposition is looking elsewhere. His hope and fear is he could be going to war or aggression. Remember, the Knight of Wands is aggressive. It's the most aggressive of the knights. It goes forward, boom, by forward. He's going to desperately try and negotiate things. Ten of Pentacles is one's inheritance. I inherited this, but also it is the dark parts of what one inherits, the dirty side of one's family. He wants to keep it under wraps. He doesn't want people knowing just how bad the East has fallen. The East has fallen. And so it means that Iran is becoming increasingly desperate. It's like they're sliding off the abyss. You have Russia completely bankrupted, 90% of their army up in smoke. They blew up another, I think they blew up some ship again. They blew up another ship. They're doing it with drones that latch on like little bugs and blow up the ship. I mean, it's scary stuff they're doing. So China is also going belly up because, again, they can't pay their workers. So what happens? They have a retracting economy. We saw that coming. We talked about that. And so it's a new beginning in China where they have to save themselves by drawing on their own ancestry and by making the Chinese customers of China again, which means that Xi is going to have to work really hard at reestablishing a positive relationship with his countrymen. You can see here going into the spring, a new beginning stands with the Red King Xi. His opposition, Knight of Cups, is out schmoozing with somebody else. I'll tell you, Knight of Cups is the ambassador's card. It's the card where you're going off and looking for the chalice. It's seductive. So his enemy's going off and wheeling and dealing. You know, they're going to Vietnam. Didn't Biden go to Southeast Asia? You can imagine what this is doing to China. It is literally driving them nuts. The hopes and fears, the new beginning in spring. That must be, I'm telling you, that's the new Southeast Asian contracts. His greatest hope is to draw on his own people, 10 of Pentacles, excuse me, with 9 of Cups. That tells me that they're going to have to create a homegrown economy, which is what a lot of businesses will do. It's like if you're oppressed poor people, you all come together and the oppressed poor people work together to feed each other, right? They start you go to Joe to get your shoes done, you go to Mary to get your hair cut, and then you keep the money flowing in the community, right? And that's good. I think that's a very good thing. So now what's coming out is the same thing. It's the same idea that China is going to have to reinvest in Chinese companies for Chinese consumption. A real retracting in the next couple of months. So in terms of the chip factory shutting down in China, problems getting new iPhones, etc., with that kind of an energy, we just found other people to do business with, where Biden didn't feel that we were giving money to a government that was trying to dismantle the U.S. government, and so we had to cut our economic ties with China. They were harming us. They were destroying our country with their profits. Sorry, this thing keeps falling. So we had no choice. We had to do what we had to do, and that was to, he said, I don't want to have a war with Xi, but you're going to have to cut this out. You cannot continue to be building up the East at our expense and expect us to pay for it. It's absolutely absurd. Okay. So next question. Thank you again, Joel. You're the best. As many of you know, there's been a lot of discussions about whether or not NATO should actually go into Ukraine. I know that some people strongly oppose it because would it be turning this into World War III? Are we already at World War III? Think about it. Are we already in World War III? Would NATO going into Ukraine create World War III, or would it simply just put an end to a situation that's been going on already for a couple of years? This slow, steady drip. Let's see. NATO in Ukraine. NATO does not want to go into Ukraine, but yes, peacekeeping troops are going into Ukraine. Movement of NATO, fear of their success. You can see we don't want to have NATO peacekeeping. We don't want the grief. And you can see here, 4 of Pentacles would be NATO really not wanting to go in. I would not be surprised if British special intelligence and other high-ranking people in the military helped organize something to, yes, somehow, some way, NATO is involved. You can see here over NATO, King of Swords, which again is a military card. Something is going on in the next couple of months where Putin, I think it's the political race. It's so, he knows Trump can't win, so he's just going to try and create as much chaos as possible. Hopes and fears here, the Red King. Interesting. So I know China and Russia are starting to have some problems, which is interesting. Final outcome is the Page of Swords, the Swords of Truth. It makes me very concerned that conservatives really believe in Armageddon. They really believe in it and they want it to happen. And so they're manifesting it. And this crazy has gotten so out of control with like heifers coming in from Texas, even though according to the Torah, the heifer has to, I think, be born in actual Israel. So it doesn't really mean anything, but it's just people being crazy, drunk on religion. And in the process of getting drunk on their crazy religious fantasy, people are going to get blown up and killed, and people have already been blown up and killed. And we need adults in the room. We need sane people to come in and diffuse the crazy. And that's not happening right now. Okay, so Democrats taking over the House. Of course, Mike Johnson is now, I keep seeing the number 9. I don't know if we're going to have, how many Republicans are going to slide over and vote for this Ukraine-Israel bill. But I'm thinking it's going to happen. So let's take a look. $648 people. Have you subscribed? Be great if you did. Have you become a member? We get together and have private readings on Saturday and eat cookies. We teach class on Wednesday. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Johnson. Yes, they think that they can get a strong bill with Biden, and particularly they're concerned about the border. The border, they say, is bleeding them dry. I don't know what they're saying. Maybe because it's hurting them politically or something. They had 7.2 million came in. It's going to get worse, by the way, with global warming because South America is unstable, Haiti's unstable, China's unstable. And so this was something we heard about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that there would be crazy migration patterns. So sociologists are having conversations about happy marriage. And one of the things that they do is they look at artificial intelligence, which is not emotional, to determine who would have the happiest marriages. And the computer's results were so confusing that it left social scientists baffled because human beings are emotional and we don't understand why things are the way they are. So it's the job of a sociologist to help us understand ourselves. So the artificial intelligence was asked to look at divorce rates. who has the highest divorce rates, who has the lowest divorce rates, etc. The highest divorce rates are usually people who marry young, are financial reasons, right? People, economic reasons, etc. Highest success rate for marriage is white men. This is how a person identifies. With black women. So if the divorce rate in the United States is 50%, so they'll say like two people who are white, one is a Christian, one is a Jew, the divorce rate is 58%. It's positive 58%. The divorce rate, white men with black women, is minus 54%. So it's the lowest divorce rate. So you think about something like Harry Windsor and Meghan, they fall within the minus 54%. This is the partnership that has the lowest divorce rate. So why is it? We don't know. I mean, sociologists can explain it. For women, highest success rate was black men with Asian women. Similar divorce rate statistics. So I was thinking about these statistics and how human beings are emotional. We are not rational. We're not rational. We get emotional and we don't just look at statistics. So I was thinking about Okinawa, Japan, where black men are stationed as U.S. servicemen. They marry Japanese women. They have happy marriages. They live there. But Japan is losing its population. Japanese women do not want to marry Japanese men because they say it's like marrying your brother. Who wants to marry your brother? And yet Japan is facing staggering losses in terms of its population, when what it should be doing is saying, okay, science tells us that this is the most successful partnership, so we should be inviting foreigners to come in. And this is maybe one of the ways that you save countries from this problem of depopulation. So in the United States, when you get 7.2 million people coming in, people freak out and say, oh my God, it's too much population. But you have to realize that the US population was dropping by close to 4 million annually because people were not having children. That could change because conservatives are working very, very hard to force people to have children. They're very specifically focusing on poor white people having children. Yeah. And Jewish women, I think it said the most successful with Jewish women was something like Jewish men or something. I was just like, yeah, but I was married to a Jewish guy and I got a divorce. So I think I'm just should be single. I think because like if you marry somebody who's a different religion and you're trying to raise them in a different faith, but yeah, the divorce rate is like, there is no divorce rate. So where do you fall in that category? Like, nice Jewish girl, I should be dating nice Jewish boys, right? In terms of my least likely to get a divorce, right? So who knows? Maybe I'll go to Israel. I'll try to find somebody. But it was a very interesting, probably because in a tribal society, whether you're like a Dakota Sioux, if you're Dakota Sioux, Chippewa, Cheyenne, Cherokee, or Jewish, they're all tribes. And despite the fact that we come from different parts of the world, have similar rules. For example, you can be adopted Chippewa, you can be adopted Cheyenne or Dakota Sioux. You just take on the soul, the ways, the beliefs, and the practices. And then, like Dances with Wolves, you become a Dakota Sioux, like when he was baptized with fire, dancing around the fire, and he He literally became a Dakota Sioux. That was his conversion. And so they took him in and said, you are now part of our tribe. Our people are your people, right? So that kind of spiritual idea of connecting to a tribe, which is not based on genetics, it's not a eugenic idea, it's based on a soul idea, which I think is rather interesting. But getting back to your question, Joel, I think that a lot of bills are going to be passed, and I think that MAGA is finished. You can see 10 of Cups moving in over the House, 2 of Wands working with our opposition, hopes and fears, the wars, of course, Knight of Wands being the aggressor. And we have a strong female energy here, a Queen of Wands. Remember, she seeks justice absolute. The clarification over the future of Mike Johnson and the House. He will try and steer the House. He has had a serious talking to that we're on the verge of World War III, and for that reason, he feels it's a time for the House to begin to cooperate. You can see here, smoother waters. Johnson leads them out of the rocky waters. His fear is world strife, taking the weapons of war away. You can see the the War Knight, and the 5 of Swords, which is a battle cry to take the battle away, and 4 of Cups, which is to refuse the offer. For that reason, I think that MAGA's finished. I told you guys he was going to cut the cord and that he was going to make a deal, and that people that didn't plan on running again were going to vote for it, and that they see the writing on the wall that MAGA is finished. It's interesting to see. Do we see Xi as a leader? The thing is I don't see Xi leaving. Can we blame Xi? Don't you think that this was a disaster in the making? They simply overextended themselves like Rome. They can't have all these trade routes and all this stuff going on if they don't have any money or revenue coming in. Right? Let's take a look. It's a fun day today. Thank you for coming, everyone. I'm really happy to see you all. Let's see. I don't know about Xi, man. You guys, he really, there's growing lack of confidence in Xi's leadership. He simply has walked himself into a situation where he wrapped himself in too much red tape. It'll be interesting to see Cash Peters draw this, right? The guy walking and wrapping tape around himself, and he can't unwind himself. His opposition is wheeling and dealing. 6 of Cups, going back to old relationships. What were the old relationships prior to our contract with Russia? I think industry is coming back to the United States. He's confused about what went wrong. It happened so fast. Look at this. It was the perfect storm. 8 of Wands, quick, right? And it's also, I'm telling you, something's going down in August. It's either going to be the great crescendo that ends this war. Look at that war. His opposition is taking the weapons of war away. Hopes and fears. Unity. The Hierophant, the ethos. You know what? Part of this guy wants this war to end because they're saying that it ends possibly in August, and he's glad it ended. Excuse me. It cost him a lot of money. This war has been bad for everybody. Nobody can feed themselves, Joel. I mean, the problem, Joel, is that war is causing sanctions and It's just been a total disaster for everybody. So we're all struggling. War causes us all to struggle. You know what I mean, Joel? So Biden chip factory program online next year. That would be awesome. Let's take a look. Oh my God. It's just Biden, it was simply not sustainable. It was an ethics issue. It was an ethics issue. It just simply wouldn't work. They were destroying our real estate. I mean, it was just, it wasn't, we were giving them, they were spying what they did to the pork industry, our land issues. It became an issue of ethics for Biden. It's simply, I keep going back to Biden saying to Xi, I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to fight with you. But I cannot reconcile what you're doing with what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to maintain I cannot reconcile with you what look at this, his issue is the Red King. So having to defend territory against the Red King. These cards are spot on today. Look at this. Smoother waters lay ahead for Biden. I think people should stop arguing with Biden. Just let him do what he has to do, because he clearly knows what he's doing in terms of working out this freaking trade war. I wish people knew it was. Do people not understand that this is a trade war? That this whole entire thing that's going on is really East versus West? Biden's focus is maximizing productivity and wealth right here in the United States, and it will happen very, 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 very quickly. And we'll see an explosion of profits and green businesses very, very soon here in the United States. Smoother waters and the Empress. The treasure trove that ever overflows. That is what we say about the Empress. It is a treasure trove that ever overflows. So, because Gaia is the treasure trove that ever overflows, all you have to do is love her and care for her so that she can love you more, because her desire is that of a mother towards her children, and a mother's love is unconditional. And so the energy of the earth is the Empress. Thank you for the hearts. And the Empress is the treasure trove. Earth is a treasure trove that ever overflows. And yet we treat her so badly, right? So that is the outcome. So Joel is making a really interesting point, which is that a lot of the trade war that is happening between Vietnam and China has to do with the student master, overcoming the master, right? So Vietnam may be experiencing an economic boom just as we're seeing massive declines in China. Good point, Joel. Yeah, we don't want the Cold War to turn into a hot war. Okay, so yeah, the water effects. That's true. War in China. Okay, any questions about anything else? The royals or anything before we close up? I think we're done, right? Has it been an hour? Yeah, it's been almost an hour. Did Biden meet with Johnson? Yes, but you go into this energy, Stephanie, and you get the impression when you go into it that a lot of people have spoken to Johnson. There are intelligent people that see the Republican candidate in a trial falling asleep with his mouth open and facing 91 counts, and they're in touch with reality, even if the MAGA people aren't. And they have to take They have to take Johnson aside and have a little conversation for him and say, do you see the writing on the wall, kid? Talk to the people who aren't running in 2024 and let's get these bills passed. The next bill to pass is going to be funding. So they have to fund the border security, Ukraine, and also Israel. Why are titles being handed out to Kate's parents? I don't. Is it official yet that the titles are going to be handed out? The MH370 passengers, I don't know what that is. Will Kate visit H&M secretly? Let's just see how Kate is doing. I'm disturbed because when I spoke to her a couple of months ago prior to the BBC tape, she told me they're going to put me away. You're not going to see me anymore. They're putting me away. And now they're making really bizarre statements about expanding Adelaide Cottage. It's like for her treatment. I don't know. We've had family getting sick. It's like to build an entire castle for someone because supposedly they detected cancer when they removed a section of her colon or whatever. I mean, what about this doesn't make any sense? It's almost like we're going to turn it into a psych hospital and lock her up there and she'll never leave. I mean, it's like, it just makes me very uncomfortable. Yeah. Let's see. What happens to Kate if Kate is okay? Well, Kate and the kids flee to America. No, I think that she cannot legally leave Britain with the kids because they're monarchs. But let's just see how she's doing. I'm worried about Kate because when I was Kate, I didn't approve of the war that William had with his brother, and I felt like I was being drug into it, and I wanted out. Get me out of here. I feel like there's another woman. And I feel like William's going to marry somebody else. A secret king. He's with a secret woman. He's gone crazy for her. He's a fool in love and he wants to marry her. He's packing up and moving, this secret king. Warring. He wants to start a new beginning in August. I don't think they're together. I think that she wanted out of a public life. I think that he gaslit her and told her it was all in her head. He didn't take her seriously. And then they found out just how sick she was. I think Kate is angry. I think she's angry that her husband did this to her. I think he can't stand his wife. It's interesting. Harry comes in here as like completely insanely in love with his wife. I mean, this man has got a happy bed. I don't know what she is doing, but this guy is so in love with his wife. They need to just let it go. I mean, this guy is bound. This guy's bound to her. Destiny, man. Just let it go. You're never going to tear these people apart. I mean, it's just never going to happen. They're going after the royal family. There's a legal issue possibly here, and Meghan wants to sue William. It's evidence again that showing that it was directed by William, and evidently he can be sued in civil court, and that's what William is upset. He wants them to back off because it's becoming increasingly obvious. In terms of Kate, yeah, she had a real illness, they're saying, and but she recovered. I don't see her dead or anything like that. I think they want to put her away. I think he wants to get rid of her and her image because he wants to go off and live his private life, William, with this woman who he's gone. Yeah, for him, Rose is like his Meghan. I mean, he's gaga over Rose from what it looks like. And I wasn't totally keen on even believing that stuff was real. And I feel as Kate really angry at my soon-to-be ex-husband. First off, I feel like I've been seduced into a con job. The guy played this game with me, strung me along for years while he went off and did whatever the hell he liked. Well, I was expected to be whatever. I give him 3 kids. He runs off. He has an affair. Then he tries to put me away, tells me I'm crazy. When I tell him I'm physically sick, he says, go see another psychiatrist, take another pill, drink another drink. I felt also that like Diane, I kept trying to get him to talk. He couldn't stand me. And I felt like I was given antidepressants. And I felt like I was drinking. All of that I felt. And I felt like William couldn't stand me. And that he was trapped and he was taking it out on me. I was concerned about physical abuse as well. But as Kate, I feel like I've been put away. He wants to put me away. I'm not dead. I'm being put away. I'm dismissed. I'm discharged. And then he wants people to get used to the new girl. And the only way he can get people used to the new girl is by putting me away so people won't see me and then you'll forget about me. So he's going to put me away at Adelaide, which is what I told you all in February. I mean, it's rather horrible, isn't it? It's a rather horrible world I find myself in as Kate. I mean, could you even escape if you wanted to? It's like it reminds me of what they did to in Saudi Arabia, forcing women into bricking so they can't get out the room. And it has a really creepy energy to it, to be quite honest with you. Oh, hi, Mom 9 Sheena. Thank you so much for your membership. It's much appreciated. And thank you also to Elizabeth Fuller for the donation. Much appreciated. Yeah, I think William is unfit. Somebody had asked, one more question was about a flight, the Malaysian flight. Is that correct? I don't think she can. Can she flee? I don't know. She's under such tight security, and the king is, you do what the prince tells you to do, and he's a scary guy. All right, what happened to the flight MH370? I feel like it kept ascending slowly, and it may have been that lack of oxygen caused the pilots and people to begin falling asleep. I feel like we're falling asleep. I feel oxygen levels are declining. We're going higher and higher up, and then we're just kind of falling asleep. The fool, and it's this going over the cliff. There may have been alcohol or drugs involved, so the pilots may have been drinking or using pharmaceuticals. It appears that the pilot or pilots were experiencing physical health problems, may have been taking pharmaceuticals, may have also been drunk, and possibly fell asleep, and that caused the ascent of the plane. I don't know if that's quite right because somebody was tied up. I don't know if people were drugged or something. I see people falling asleep, somebody getting tied up, and then it could be that somebody was tied up, took control, and then crashed the plane or something like that, because there's something here about the pilot possibly being taken control of. It could be that something happened where people were drugged, and then someone tied up the pilots or crew, and then crashed the plane over a cliff. Yeah. They were somehow subdued and taken over a cliff. So the remains would be found in a remote area over a cliff, and that appears to be what happened. They fell over a cliff. Appears that there was a scuffle or a fight on board and that people were tied. It was probably, I would assume it was a terrorist. Malaysia, it might have been a terrorist group. Yeah. According to these cards, it was a crash between two mountains, and the debris is there. It's very scary because when you go up in a plane, it's you, the pilot, and everybody else, and you don't know who everybody else is. And you have countries like Malaysia, you go to visit, yay, I go to Malaysia, and there's civil war, and there's the Tamil Tigers over in this part of the world, and this part of the world is undergoing this revolution, and we're just tourists. We don't necessarily know what's going on, but that looked to me like a struggle, and like an ISIS situation. It didn't look metaphysical. It looked like they were actually tied up, and a fool going over the cliff, and then a tower. The plane crashed. At first, I thought they just fell asleep and started ascending and then crashed because they were asleep. The guy had pharmaceuticals. He also looked like he may have been drinking, so that would cause someone to fall asleep. But you would think everybody would have woken him up. But then the other thing is then why was he tied up, which looked very strange. Oh, Leah, you're so kind. Thank you so much. All right, everyone, you are so sweet, and you've been so supportive today. Thank you for your love and support, and I hope you really do like the new audio. I think it was totally worth it. You helped pay for it, and it's really awesome. I love it. Now when I sing, you guys will be able to hear it in stereo sound, so that's really cool. All right, everybody, be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. If you're trying to get in for a tarot reading with me, or you need to hire me as a professional empath, the information is below. If you need to see me for health coaching as a naturopathic doctor, that information is also below this video. Be well. We'll see you next time. God bless and peace out. Bye.